So, I'm going to have to start this off with a list of confessions. 1. The reason why this episode exists is due to me going and putting the names of all of the bots from Series 1 to 9, apart from a few, side events and a few extreme bots, which I'll put in later. But I didn't think that some of the bots would be in Series 10, and I might pull one of their names out whilst they had an ongoing run. So, at the end of Episode 3, I pulled Behemoth's name out of the box, the day after Behemoth's heat aired. Wary of spoilers, I left out the entire Series 10 run, so I wrote an addendum slip, intending to put it in a few years later, which is what I ultimately ended up doing, but I was expecting there to be a Series 11, 12, 13, 14, etc. If there is a Series 11, there's likely going to be an addendum too, because I would not be shocked if Behemoth was there. Two, Behemoth's episode was written in a rush. Because of the whole, oh god, spoilers! I wasn't sure what to do with Series 10. And so the factors that come into play, it's no spoiler, Behemoth had won its heat, and I will explain how in this episode. So there was, spoilers! Oh god, what do we do with an ongoing run? So I delayed, and Behemoth has had a lot of fights, so I wrote it in a rush. And missed the All-Stars in Series 7. That is to be rectified. Side note, before I go on, Behemoth's first episode, Episode 4, that is so far the only episode where I wear regular glasses. For those who've seen and been confused by the fact I've not seen wearing them in any other episode, they're not brainy specs. They're distance vision glasses. I'm slightly short-sighted. So, let's go back to 2004, a more innocent time. And the All-Stars. For the uninitiated, Behemoth is a black and yellow striped boxy robot armed with a bulldozer scoop which acts as a flipper, and an axe for damage points. In Series 7 All-Stars, Behemoth drew a Rammer Spinner King B3, pyramid-shaped cutting disc wielder Pussycat, and flipper Dantum Kia. Behemoth bumped into the ref bot early on before becoming Dantum Kia's target. A pushing war ensued, and Behemoth tried a flip, but Dantum Kia pushed Behemoth to the arena's edge and flipped them out of the arena. Well, that was quick. So, fast forward 17 years, Behemoth has had two more ill-fated runs, one to the heat final, one lost in the round robins, and where we left them, the team had a falling out over weapons in a fight against Cherub, which ultimately ended their run. But by Series 10, things were all good again. Behemoth landed in Heat A, and was the first robot to be introduced in the 10th series of Robot Wars. In its first fight, Behemoth drew Drum Spinner Sabretooth and Vertical Spinner Donald Thump. Lot of spinners. Behemoth went for Sabretooth early on. Sabretooth knocked Behemoth over with the drum, and whilst Behemoth was busy self-righting, Sabretooth was busy tangling with Donald Thump. Behemoth then went for Donald Thump, but got tossed by the floor flipper. Oops. Behemoth and Sabretooth then took it in turns to take on Donald Thump until Donald Thump stopped moving, leaving Behemoth and Sabretooth to duel. When they danced around each other, Behemoth opened the pit, which took 2 hits to get the hint. First Behemoth hit the pit, and then Behemoth used Sabretooth to hit the pit release. Sabretooth nearly went in the pit, but collided with Behemoth, and that collision turned Sabretooth over. However, thanks to the hit from Sabretooth, Behemoth couldn't move. and due to the earlier tussle with Donald Thump, Sabretooth had a dislodged panel and it couldn't move either. So, the judges were called in. Donald Thump being KO'd was not a non-factor in the decision, so it was between Sabretooth and Behemoth. They ruled in favour of Behemoth. Now, I thought that Sabretooth had it when I first saw the fight. And knowing Behemoth's history with bad luck, I was willing to let that one slide because Behemoth was overdue some good luck, and they were very lucky to get that judge's decision. So, straight through to the semi-finals went Behemoth and faced Multibot the Swarm. The plan? Flip all 4 parts out. They only needed to flip 3 out to win the fight, but 4. Result would be a nice tidy arena, I presume. The 4 parts of the swarm were so small, Behemoth drove over some, trying to find one to attack before the horizontal bar spinner of the team, Blender, attacked Behemoth. That took out Blender. Briefly. The pincer somehow wound up upside down in the leaking smoke, which is bad. Behemoth hit Blender when their paths crossed, sending the little spinner to Matilda. Behemoth then went for Ramasky and Flipper Rubber Duck. Well, for a moment anyway. Blender rejoined the fray. Behemoth, sending Rubber Duck to Matilda, got hit by the house robot, self-righted, and went for Blender. Flipped Sky, and one flip later, Sky was out of the arena. Duck to the skies, one could say. I know, it's bad. So, Rubber Duck got sent to Sick-a-Lot. Blender was down. Pinzer had somehow got back in the game, at least until Behemoth flipped Pinzer again. So that left Rubber Duck, which tried to hide behind Sick-a-Lot. But with 3 of the 4 gone, KO'd in various different forms, the Swarm were KO'd, and Behemoth was through to the Heat Final, one step away from the Grand Final itself, to face Flipper and Series 8 champions Apollo. Just as I predicted. I was in a predictions league that series, and I forgot to put my 3rd place prediction in for that heat. Whoops, I would have got a point for that one, by the way. Apollo flipped Behemoth early on and sent it straight to Sick-a-Lot. Behemoth self-righted and escaped, but got tossed again, but landed on its wheels. Apollo then chased Behemoth, but Behemoth managed to flip Apollo twice, the second time causing the pit to open, but both bots ended up with dead metal. Behemoth took the longer to escape and managed to reverse onto Apollo's flipper, and came within a couple of feet of leaving the arena. Again. Anyway, Behemoth sent Apollo to the flame pit, where Apollo took a while to self-right. Apollo sent Behemoth to dead metal, and once both bots were free, Behemoth pushed Apollo towards the pit, and Apollo slid the rest of the way in. Okay, that was not what I predicted. But 19 years after it made its debut, Behemoth could be called a grand finalist. First up for Behemoth, there was bar spinner of the horizontal persuasion and defending champions Carbide and flail spinner nuts too. For this, Behemoth brought out the anti-spinner scoop because Carbide was in the battle. Behemoth was Carbide's first target. Behemoth took a few hits to the scoop but sent Carbide to Sick-a-Lot, but both escaped and Behemoth took some more hits from Carbide. Ended up spinning around by a few of them. The last one landed Behemoth on the pit square. just as one of Nuts 2's mini-bots opened the pit, sending Behemoth down and out of the fight at once. Gloop, 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 gloop. The mini-bot needed to get Carbide too. So, Behemoth was sent to Robot Redemption along with Carbide. Awaiting Behemoth in Robot Redemption was Drum Spinner Magnetar, which was my second tip for the title. Big Nipper took out the first one. Behemoth flipped Magnetar, but Magnetar self-righted. However, Magnetar's self-righter stayed open. Still, Magnetar hit Behemoth until it turned over. Behemoth self-righted, but more hits and attempted flip later. Behemoth was at Magnetar's mercy. Thing is, a few hits later, Behemoth was free and Magnetar's drum was down. It was not spinning, there was no death hum, nothing. Behemoth was only crab walking and was not getting counted out. So Magnetar poked Behemoth some more and strayed too close to Behemoth's scoop, which was still working. Behemoth flipped Magnetar, which no longer had a working self-righter, so it did not self-right, and Behemoth got through. Next up, in the round before the grand final, or the final, the title match, was Flipper and wielder of the Card of Wildness, aka the wild card, Eruption. Behemoth flipped Eruption early on and sent it straight to Dead Metal. It took Eruption a while to get out, but they did. Behemoth, meanwhile, risked getting caught by Dead Metal, but also escaped. Never a good idea to get caught by Dead Metal. Dead Metal may be a hugger, but does damage with those hugs. A chase then ensued, ended when Behemoth tried to flip Eruption, but Eruption flipped Behemoth twice and sent it to Dead Metal. Pretty sparks. On its escape, Behemoth sent Dead Metal on a rampage, but the house robot caught nobody. So after another attempted flip, Behemoth got flipped some more by Eruption. Self-righted both times, but Eruption flipped Behemoth again and set off the Fog of War. Once the fog cleared, Eruption flipped Behemoth some more, sending Behemoth to Dead Metal, the pit release tire, Matilda, who also hit Behemoth, and an arena war trying to get Behemoth out of the arena. Just like they did in Series 9. Spoilers. They didn't, but Eruption kept trying until time ran out and the judges were called in. They ruled in favour of Eruption, so Behemoth ended the series in joint third place. That's 2. Like I said, Series 11, it still hasn't happened. Come on, someone make Robot Wars again. But it should come as no surprise that Behemoth is still fighting on the live circuit. As I said 377 episodes ago, I'm no fan of Behemoth, though the fact that the team kept coming back after so many setbacks, that is something to respect. Perseverance, it paid off for them in Series 10. And even though I thought they'd lose to Apollo, I was happy for Behemoth and Co. finally getting through to the final. 19 years is a long time to wait. A long time between winning heats, and a long time to wait just to get into the grand final. The reaction to getting pitted by Nuts 2's minibot, that was funny, and there's no shame in going out to the eventual champions in Eruption. Joint third place is pretty good, I'd say, especially fighting all 3 of the champions from the 2016-17 series en route. Actually, your third is the best place in my much smaller robot waffle iron. Just a coincidence. Two robots otherwise share nothing in common. Anyway, who's next? Taiki, please be kind. Pulverizer. Oh, good, we get to watch some of the Dutch Wars. Until next week, Carlson244, out.